Okay, fine. So today we are going to study about ventilation. Okay, mainly about kitchen hood ventilation. So today's topic is an important topic. Uh, we'll be uh, we'll be designing a kitchen hood. Okay, we'll be designing a kitchen hood both manually as well as we'll be having a Excel sheet also. So I will teach you how to design a kitchen hood, and I will show you how to draw it in the AutoCAD. Okay, the both things I will show you. So today's topic is it's a bit important topic. So and the Excel sheets I will provide to you also. Okay, how to design kitchen hood, that Excel sheet also will be providing to you. Okay. Uh, Before that, this kitchen hood, toilet ventilation, car parking ventilation, all these things will be studying in coming days. Okay, today we'll be dealing with kitchen hood ventilation. Okay, so before that, I have already said what is ventilation. Correct. Okay, so write today's date and write day three in your note. So if it's possible, if someone or everyone can open your videos, it would be better. So I could see someone and I could teach. I don't know why you are just closing your video. I don't know. Okay. Fine. Okay. So yeah. So write today's date with day three. Okay. Today's date with day three, and so today we are dealing with kitchen hood ventilation. Before that, we can just, I will say what is this ventilation of it. Okay, write a heading ventilation. So anyway, we are going to deal with ventilation for the coming 2-3 days. Okay, so I have already said what is ventilation and all. Okay, ventilation is nothing but just an exchange of indoor and outdoor air. That's all. We are not conditioning any room. Okay, we are not conditioning. We are not what in ventilation. What is our aim is that to improve our indoor air quality. That's all. Okay, because in a closed room always there will be impure air. So some exchange of air should happen between outdoor as well as indoor, so that we can maintain an indoor air quality. Okay, so I think you have written the heading ventilation. I think before itself, I think you have written the definition of ventilation, but still, you just we are dealing with ventilation. Just you can write a definition for ventilation once more. Okay, and write this: a ventilation is a process of exchange of indoor and outdoor air. Exchange of indoor and outdoor air. That is providing fresh air to the room. That is providing fresh air to the room. So when you're writing, just understand and write. Okay, that is providing fresh air or the outside air to the room and removing the used air or inside air, whatever you can call, you can write that, and removing the used air from the room in order to maintain indoor air quality. In order to maintain indoor air quality. So someone have any idea? This Ashra has been giving this standard. Okay, regarding this indoor air quality. So do someone have any idea which is that ASHRAE points, which guideline points this ventilation standards? I think we have discussed in the first class, I think so. Do anyone have any idea? ASHRAE, which spots ventilation standards? Which guideline shows? Yes, 62.1. Correct. 62.1. Okay. So just write as a note below. Just write as a note below. Basically, this ventilation. Okay. All standards are given by. All standards are given by. All standards are given by ASHRAE, ASHRAE 62.1. 62.1. So if in interview or someone asks you uh, uh, the ventilation standard which given by ASHRAE, which guideline shows that ventilation requirement, you should be able to answer that ASHRAE 62.1 denotes this ventilation. Okay, ASHRAE 62.1 denotes the ventilation. Okay, so the guidelines regarding the ventilation is being given by ASHRAE. Okay, in 62.1, their guideline shows. Okay, now basically we have already discussed about the main two types of ventilation, right? One is natural ventilation and the next one is forced ventilation. Okay, natural ventilation is like window. Naturally the air is been coming inside and the air is going outside. The second one is forced ventilation, or we can call it as mechanical ventilation. So in mechanical ventilation, we give fans, exhaust fans. So why we are giving exhaust fans is that this. One second, please. I have a phone. 1 second. Sorry. Guys, sorry for that. Now, okay. So two types of ventilation, right? One is natural ventilation. The other one is forced ventilation. Okay. In forced ventilation, we'll be using exhaust fans. Okay. So in ventilation, mainly in toilet, you can see ventilation. We need ventilation in toilets. Okay. Car parking area, we need ventilation. Okay. Kitchen hood, we need ventilation. Okay. So mainly in kitchen hood, we won't be using fans. Sometimes we will use fans. Basically, we have to design kitchen hood. So this designing of a kitchen hood also comes under, our category. As an HVAC engineer, we should design the kitchen hood also. Okay. So I believe that you know what is kitchen hood. I will show you the pictures, different types of kitchen hood video. Pictures also I'll show you. And there are different classification of air. Okay, there are different classification of air. That classification we can divide according to its purity or according to its impurity also, we can say. And this classification of indoor air, mainly the indoor air or the air which is in the particular room. Okay, we can classify into mainly four classes: class 1, class 2, class 3, and class 4. Okay, we can just classify it into four different categories. Okay, class 1 air is the most pure air. Okay, or if you want to write some notes, we can write classification of indoor air. Classification of indoor air. Classification of indoor air. Okay, in that the first one is, you can write class 1. Class 1. So in class 1, the air with low contaminant, or we can say class 1 with respect to class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4. Class 1 is the most pure one. Okay, when we are categorizing. So air with low contaminant, low sensory irritation intensity. So, for example, when we are getting into a room, sometimes we may feel some uncomfortable, if it is a closed room. Okay, you may feel sometimes like that. For example, if you are getting into a kitchen, if it was very closed, or you may be cooking. Okay, so when you enter into the particular room, you may feel some uncomfortable feeling. Okay, you may feel some itching or something like that if it is a closed room. Okay, so all these things also we are keeping it in. Okay, so air with low contaminant, low sensory irritation intensity, low sensory irritation intensity. And next comes odor, I mean the smell. Inoffensive odor, inoffensive, or ODOUR, or smell. And inoffensive odor. So this is the class 1 category air, okay, which have very low contaminants and very low sensory irritation intensity and inoffensive odor. Okay, why we are classifying this class 1 to class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4 is that, uh, when coming to HVAC or ventilation, sometimes we need to circulate it. Understood? The air has to be circulated. Sometimes it can be transferred to other space also. Okay, so class 1 air may be recirculated or transferred to any space. You can transfer to any space. Not only that, you can recirculate also. That air can be recirculated. Understood? So you can write class 1 air may be recirculated and transferred to any space. Class 1 air may be recirculated or transferred to any space. Why? Because this class 1 air is the pure air. So you can transfer or recirculate, or you can transfer to another space also. That's not an issue. Now we can see what about the class 2 air, whether it can recirculate or whether we can transfer it or not. We can see. Okay. So what do you mean by class 2 air? We can see. Class 2 air, we can write heading class 2 air. Air with moderate contaminant. So which means that it has some moderate contaminant. Air with moderate contaminant and mild sensory irritation intensity. A mild sensory irritation intensity. And might be offensive odor, ODOUR, or smell, or might be offensive odor. Yeah. Next, we can see whether it can be recirculated or whether it can be, transferred to other space or not. We can just see. Class 2 air may be recirculated within the space of origin. It can. Okay. Class 2 air may be recirculated. It can recirculate it within the space of origin. within the space of origin. It can be recirculated within the space of origin. And can transfer to all other classes of air. And can transfer to all other classes of air. You can write it can be also transferred to all other classes of air except class 1. Except class 1. Except class 1. Why except class 1? Because class 1 is more pure than class 2. Okay, so you cannot transfer to that class 1 air, but you can transfer to class 3 and class 4. Not only that, class 2 air can be recirculated within the space of origin also. So class 1, you can just recirculate and you can transfer to any space because it's a pure air. And compared to class 2, you can recirculate it, but you cannot transfer to class 1, but you can transfer to any other classes. Okay. So according to the classes of air, we have to differentiate whether we need to circulate or we need to transfer it or not. We have to decide, or we have to decide according to that. Okay. Now, when it comes to class 3, there are totally 4 classes. So now coming to class 3, air with sufficient contaminant. Air with sufficient contaminant. Air with sufficient contaminant. Sufficient sensory irritation intensity. Sufficient, just add sufficient to everything. Sufficient sensory irritation intensity and sufficient offensive order. Sufficient offensive order. Now, coming to class 3 air may be recirculated within the space of origin. It can also recirculated within the space of origin and shall not be or shall not be transferred to any other spaces. Okay. Class 3 may be recirculated within the space of origin. It can be recirculated within its space of origin and shall not be transferred to any other spaces. Now coming to class 4, last. Okay. Class 4. Air with highly objectionable fumes. Air with highly objectionable fumes. Or gases. Or gases. Or with potentially dangerous particles. Or with potentially dangerous particles. At concentration high enough to be considered harmful. High enough to be considered harmful. So when it comes to class 4 air shall not be recirculated. It cannot be even recirculated or it cannot be transferred to any other space. So class 4, you should not even recirculate it within the space of origin. So what you will do? The outside air will be supplied to the indoor, and the indoor air you just have to be exhausted. You should not recirculate this, okay, because it is highly objectionable fumes, mainly in this petroleum, industries and all those areas. The fumes are, bit harmful, so you should not recirculate it. Even though if you use filters also, you should not recirculate it. You just exhaust it out, and the outside air you just bring it in. Okay, so we have studied about class 1, class 2, class 3, and class 4 air. Class 1 is the purest air, and class 4 is the harmful or pollutant air. So you have to keep it in mind, like whether you need to recirculate or whether you need to transfer it. Okay, according to this different classes, you can just see whether you have to recirculate within the space of origin, or can I transfer to any other spaces also. Okay, so according to these different 4 categories, you have to divide, and you have to understand whether I can recirculate or whether I can transfer. And keep it in mind that class 1 is the pure air, you can recirculate or you can transfer to any space, and class 4 is the harmful air, which means that even you cannot even recirculate it within the space of origin, and you should not or shall not transfer to any other spaces. Fine. Now we can deal with kitchen hood. Okay, so this kitchen hood is bit important. Okay, so you study properly. If you have any doubt also, you can ask me, and I will teach you in such a way that you can be able to design it. Okay, now before that, I will just give a brief introduction about what is kitchen hood, what are the types. Okay, so you have seen kitchen hoods. Okay, mainly usually nowadays, even our all residents, they will give kitchen hood. Mainly, I think you have seen kitchen hood in some restaurants. Okay, you see a kitchen hood. There will be a stove, and there will be a kitchen hood, okay, through which the fumes will be taken and it will be exhausted through the duct to a place where it can be exhausted. Okay, now you might have seen different kitchen hoods. There are different types of kitchen hoods. Okay, so we can deal with kitchen hood. Okay, so I will share this screen. Can you see this? Can you see the PowerPoint? Write a heading: ventilation, or kitchen hood designing, or kitchen hood ventilation designing. Kitchen hood ventilation designing. Okay. I will just show what are the different types, and if you want to note it down, some points you can note it down according to your, if it is in a point wise or something like that also, it's not an issue. Okay, but what you are writing, you should be able to know it in future. Okay. See, these are some kitchen hoods. Mainly, you could see kitchen hood in uh, kitchens. So you can see here a kitchen hood, right? This is known as kitchen hood. I think most of them have seen kitchen hoods. Okay. You can see kitchen hood. Yeah. So below there will be a stove. This is the stove through which, when we are cooking, fumes will be evolved. That fumes will be carried away by this kitchen hood. Okay. Where this kitchens or the kitchen hood is being placed, or where on all this kitchen should will be there in buildings. Hotels will be having, restaurants, hospitals, canteens, retail malls, residence, jails. All these areas we need kitchens, so we need kitchen hood also. These are the most commonly used places where we use kitchen hood. Okay. Now, basic purpose of a kitchen ventilation. Why we need this kitchen hood ventilation? Okay. I will just dictate it. If you want to note it down, you can note it down in points. Okay. Basic purpose of a kitchen ventilation: to provide a comfortable environment in the kitchen. So mostly ladies will be there in the kitchen. Uh, all through the day they will be in kitchen sometimes. So we need a comfortable environment for them, right? They need a comfortable environment for them. So to provide a comfortable environment in the kitchen, we need this ventilation system. A proper exchange of air should happen inside the kitchen. Okay. Next, to ensure the safety of the people working in the kitchen and other building occupants. Okay, because mainly you are dealing with fire and mainly inside the kitchen, safety is very important. So an air ventilation system should be maintained in the kitchen, so we can ensure safety to the people who are working inside the kitchen. Fine. Now, effective removal of effluents, which may include gaseous, liquid, and solid contaminants produced by the cooking processes and products of fuel and food combustion. So, mostly this effluents like this gas or fumes which is being produced from this cooking processes, that has to be exhausted properly, or which has to be ventilated properly, which means an effective removal of the effluent should carry out in our kitchen. So for that, this kitchen ventilation is very important. Okay. Otherwise, what happens, as we have studied, there will be some mild sensory irritation intensity. Okay. A bad odor will be there. Okay. All these things we have to take it into consideration. Now, effluents can be life-threatening and flammable also. So it can bring a burn to your body. Okay. So if there is no proper ventilation system, so this effluents can be even a life-threatening, and even it may create a burn to your body. So these are the basic purposes of kitchen ventilation. Okay. Now, what are the types of hood? So we have seen hood. Okay, and I will show you some different types of hood. Okay, basically we have two types of hood. Okay, one is wall mounted type hood and another one is island type hood. Okay, one is wall mounted and another one is island. Wall mounted hood means we'll be placing it on the wall. One side will be placed on the wall. Okay, island type means usually it will be kept on the center portion or the central area of our kitchen. So all the four surround, we have all four corners. Okay, we can move to all four corners. In wall mounted type, one will be placed on the wall. One side will be placed on the wall. But in the island type, you know what is island, right? An island is an area which has been covered by water on all the sides or all the four sides. The same way, island type is also, they might be kept in the middle. It is not attached to any wall. Okay, so these are the main two types of wall, types of kitchen hood. Okay, one is wall mounted and one is island type. Okay, according to this different wall, choosing according to this different wall mounted or island type, we have to design accordingly. Okay, we have to design the hood accordingly. Okay, now I will show you some pictures of wall mounted and kitchen hood. Let's see some wall mounted. Okay, these are different, you can see a wall mounted. These are different styles. Okay, you can create any style according to our need. So this is a wall mounted type. See, one side is being fixed on the wall. This fumes will be passing through this, and through the duct it will be taken out. Okay, so this is a wall mounted type. So you can see different styles. See, this is also wall mounted. So this is the stove, this is the wall mounted, through which fumes will be taken through the duct. See, this is also another one type. Type means another one style. The type is same, wall mounted only. Okay. See, this another one. This is also wall mounted. It is mounted on the wall. A two support is been just given here. Okay. This is the duct. Through this duct, this fumes will be carried away to a particular place through which we can exhaust this fumes. Okay. This is a ventilation system. Okay. This means kitchen hood ventilation. Now, that was wall mounted. Now let's see what is island type. So this is an island type. Okay, so you can move here and here and here. It is basically, set at the center of the kitchen. Basically set at the center of the kitchen. Okay, so it is not attached to any walls. Okay, it is just, it is in the center. Okay, this is known as island mounted. This is another type. Okay, this is island mounted. Okay, island mounted kitchen hood. This is another one. Okay, it is not attached to the wall. Okay, so you can see another one. These are different styles. Okay, market we may get different styles. See, this is another kitchen hood, island type. Island type. See, here you can see it properly. See, there are all four sides are vacant. This is the island type kitchen hood. You can see here. So this is the kitchen hood. So if someone haven't seen kitchen hood, you can see it. Okay. So we have to design this. Design this means we need to know the size of this, width and length. Okay. According to the size of this stove, this kitchen hood will be changing. The size of the dimension of the kitchen hood will be changing. And according to different application also, this kitchen hood will change. Okay. So in detail, we'll be studying about it, how to design. Okay. All those things we'll be studying them. Okay. So I think you have understood what are the two types, wall mounted and island type, and you have seen the pictures also. Correct. So I believe that there is no doubt. In the end, if you have some doubt, you can ask. I will give time. Okay. Now, this is a small diagrammatic representation of a kitchen area. Okay, in a restaurant. Okay, this is a restaurant area, and this area is the kitchen. This area is the kitchen. And you can see there is a cooking equipment, a stove here. Okay, this is the section view. Okay, when you are seeing from the side. Okay, this is a section view. Don't get confused. It's very easy. I will explain it. This is the kitchen hood. You can see here. This is the kitchen hood. Okay, and you can see a red arrows. That red arrow shows the fumes or hot gas which is evolved from that cooking equipment, and it has been entered into the kitchen hood. And where there is a baffle type, this filter is there because these fumes will produce grease. Okay, so that has to be filtered. Okay, just don't think that this kitchen hood is just a a metal sheet box. Not that. Okay, it doesn't mean it's like that. Okay, there are many things inside that. There is a baffle type. These filters are there. Okay, vapor proof candles and light will be there. Okay. some filters, baffles, everything will be included in this kitchen hood. Understood? So you can see this red arrow shows the fumes, okay, which is been passing through the kitchen hood, and at the end of it there is a duct. So we have to decide the size of the duct, as well as we have to decide the size of the kitchen hood also. Both we have to decide. And if we need some fan, we have to give its capacity also. Okay. Now, the fumes is entered into the kitchen hood, and through the duct it is been exhausted. So it will be mounted on the roof somewhere. Okay. So you are exhausting 100% of exhaust air through this kitchen hood. Okay. Now you can see another fan here, and the arrow shows, towards the room. That is the supply air. This is the exhaust air. We are exhausting it completely, and we have to give a supply air also. Okay. In other words, the supply air, you can call it as makeup air also. Okay. You can call it as makeup air. Here you have to keep it in mind that 70 to 85% of exhaust air is being used. Used means when we are exhausting in a normal case, if you are exhausting 100% of air to outside, 100% of air should come inside also, right? Then only there will be a balance. Correct. If you are exhausting 100%, 100% air should come inside, fresh air should come inside. But here what we are doing is that mainly we are taking only 80%, 70 to 85%. In between that you can take. Why we are taking only 70 to 85% of makeup air? Do you have any idea? Why we need only 70 to 85% of air? What about other, if you are taking 80%, what about other 20% of makeup air? From where we will be getting that? I think my question is proper, right? If you are exhausting 100% of exhaust air to outside, 100% of makeup air or fresh air also should come inside, right? But what we are doing is that when we are designing this ventilation, if we need to give this supply air, we are giving only 80%, for example, 70 to 85%, in which I am giving only 80% of fresh air to my room. What about the rest 20%? What about the rest 20%? Can anyone answer what about the rest 20% air? Yeah, Kirti is saying that there is a flow from restaurant. Yeah, that's very correct. There is a flow from restaurant. See, you can see a flow from restaurant. From windows or some small cracks or some small openings, the air will be automatically coming inside. You understood? When you are giving an exhaust, the air is being sucked from our room and it is being taken out. So what happens when an air is being sucked? A negative pressure is already created in our room. Okay. So when there is a negative pressure in our room, outside air will be positive. Automatically that outside air will be sucked inside. You understood what I am saying? Through some small openings or some small window opening or door opening like that. So why we are doing that is that so we can reduce its capacity of the supply fan. So if you are reducing the capacity of the supply fan, we can reduce its cost also. Okay. Not only that, we can reduce the size of the duct. So we can reduce the material of the duct. So in such a way that we can save a 20%. You understood what I am saying? So when we are exhausting the complete air from our kitchen area, we need to give a supply air to our room. Correct. But we don't want to give 100% of outside air to our particular room. Just we need to give only 80%. Rest 20%, we are assuming that that air will be compensating from another area, other outside area automatically. Why? Because when we are exhausting through the exhaust fan, automatically a negative pressure is created inside, right? Because the air has been sucked. So there's a push. So here it will be, or here it will be positive. Even here if it is negative, here it is positive. So the air is been automatically sucked in by a negative pressure created inside this particular way. So we are assuming that the 20% is been automatically coming into the kitchen area through some openings or some cracks. Okay. So when you are designing a kitchen hood, when you are giving a supplier, just multiply into with 0.8 or take only 80% of the exhaust air and you design according to that. Okay. So I think this is fine for you. I think you have understood this. Okay. So I am moving to another slide. So we have studied about wall mounted and as well as island type, right? When we are designing a kitchen hood manually, uh, we have to know its perimeter. Okay. So perimeter, you know, the addition of all the four sides is known as the perimeter. The addition of all the four sides. So when you are designing a wall mounted type kitchen hood, to find out the perimeter, you can use this formula L plus 2W. So this is the width. W means width and L means length. Okay. You can exclude one length because this in wall mounted type hood, this hood is being placed on the wall. So you can exclude that length. You understood? So the perimeter will be only L plus 2W. 2W means this W plus this W plus this length. Okay. We are excluding this length because it is a wall mounted type. So don't forget that when you're designing a wall mounted type, if the client is asking you that I need a wall mounted type, I am suggesting a wall mounted type, or I am going to place a wall mounted type in my kitchen. That's what I have selected. So when you are designing it, you have to make sure that when you find its perimeter, you just exclude one length. Okay. So the formula will be L plus 2W because this one L is being excluded. So L plus 2W for a wall mounted type. When it comes to island type, all the four sides will be there. This length plus this length plus this width plus this width. So the perimeter will be L plus W plus L plus W, which means 2L plus 2W for island type kitchen hood. Okay. So when you are designing, keep this in mind that when you are taking the perimeter for a wall mounted type kitchen hood, you have to exclude one length. Okay. In island type, you have to add all the lines. Now, this is the stove. Okay, 1 meter length and 0.6 meter width. So this is the kitchen hood. You can see. So when we are designing a kitchen hood, we need to know. I will show you the formula. I will teach you the formula. You need the height. You need the height. Height in the sense the height between the stove top and this kitchen hood bottom. We need to know the height. Okay. The normal height will be 0.8 to 1.2 meter height. Okay, there is a range 0.8 meter to 1.2 meter height is the normal height between the bottom of the kitchen hood as well as the top of the stove, or which means that this gap between the kitchen hood and the stove, that is the height. Not only that, in order to know the width of the kitchen hood, just know the width of the stove plus 0.8 into height. Okay, this is the formula to find the width of the kitchen hood. So there is a length and there is a width. Correct. So in a manual calculation, if you need to know the width of the kitchen hood, okay, you need to know the size of the stove. According to the size of the stove only, the kitchen hood width and kitchen hood length is being known or find it out or found out. Okay. So if you need to know the width of the kitchen hood, just know the width of the stove plus you just give multiply 0.8 into this height. You will be getting this width. So if you need to know the length, just give the length of the stove plus multiply 0.8 with this height. You will be getting the length also. So we can do a problem. Okay. So you will be thorough with that. So I am just saying once more, this is the stove. We have to know the size of the stove. Length and width of the stove we need to know. Then only we will be able to design it, design the kitchen hood. Okay. So we know the, for if this is an example, we know the length as well as the width of the kitchen, length and the width of the stove. So if we know the length and the width of the stove, we could easily find the length and the width of the kitchen hood. Okay, just we need to know the height of it. Okay, so if we need to know the width of the kitchen hood, just add the width of the stove plus 0.8 multiply with this height. You will be getting the length or the width of this kitchen hood. If we need to know the length of the kitchen hood, just add this length. This L means this 1 meter. L means 1 meter plus 0.8 into H. H you can take in a range of 0.8 to 1.2 meter. Just multiply this and you'll be getting the length and you'll be getting the width. Okay. So this we have already seen this. It's a cooking equipment. Okay. Through this is the kitchen hood, through which it has been exhausted, and a makeup air is being given through the side. This is the ceiling. The kitchen hood is being placed on the ceiling and as well as on the wall. Okay. And air flow from the restaurant. Okay. Some percentage is being already coming in through infiltration. We could call it as infiltration. Okay. An exhaust hood. Okay. Now just see what is an exhaust hood. I will just read it out. The centerpiece of any kitchen ventilation system. Okay. So we are dealing with what is a kitchen hood or an exhaust hood. The centerpiece of any kitchen ventilation system. Okay. Not just a sheet metal, but a critical component of a well-engineered system. So just don't think that it's just a a metal box. Don't think like that. Okay. It is, we have to design it. There is a designing. There are many other components also included in that kitchen hood. Okay. So just don't get think like it's only just a metal box which is been kept over the stove. Don't think like that. It is a critical component of a well-engineered system. We have to design it. Okay. Much greater awareness today about the need of an effective kitchen ventilation system. Okay. Issues are health, safety, efficiency, and energy savings. All these things comes under this topic. So when issues related to health, safety, efficiency, and energy system, we need an exhaust or a kitchen ventilation system. Okay, when keeping all these matters in account. There are two types, okay, of exhaust hoods. We have already seen two types in the sense like wall mounted and island type. So there are another types also, like type 1 for removing grease and smoke, used for cooking appliances. This is the type 1 hood. Okay, this is type 1. In this type 1 only that wall mounted and island type also will be coming in this type 1. Okay, so we can see what is it. So type 1 for removing grease and smoke. So this is the application. Okay, used for cooking appliances. This comes under type 1. And what type 2 exhaust hood? For steam, vapor, heat, odor when grease is not present. used for dishwashers and steam tables. In these applications, you have to use type 2 exhaust hoods. In type 1 exhaust hoods, it is mainly used for removing the grease and smoke. And type 2 is mainly help for removing steam and vapor and heat and smell. Okay, so here grease is not present. So where there is no grease, you can use type 2. Okay. So what are the application in dishwashers, steam tables, etc.? You can use type 2. Rest everything you can use type 1. Basic styles of a type 1 hoods. Okay, we can see what are the different types of type 1 hood. Okay, we have wall mounted canopy, single island, double island is there, back shelf for proximity is there, passover is there, eyebrow is there. These are the different. We have just seen only two types, right? One is wall mounted and one is island type. So there are many more. Okay, so basic styles of type 1 hoods are, we could see different styles also. Okay, that is, one is wall mounted, one is single island, double island is there, back shelf is there, passover is there, eyebrow is there. So I will show you the picture also. So these are the different hood styles. Okay, this is wall mounted canopy. So you can see this is the kitchen hood, this is the wall mounted canopy. Okay, this is a back shelf. Okay, this is a back shelf. These are different styles. Okay, this is passover style kitchen hood. This is single canopy, single island. This is an island type. Okay, not wall mounted. This is a single island canopy. The double island, you can see double side, double island canopy. Okay, now you can see eyebrow type. So these are the different hood styles. Okay, that we use. So if you want, you can write this. Okay, basic styles of type 1 hoods: wall mounted, single island, double island, back shelf, passover, and eyebrow. If you finish writing, you just give a smiley, a thumbs up. Okay. Wall mounted is there, single island is there, or you can write it from here also. Wall mounted is the back shelf, passover, single island canopy, double island canopy, and eyebrow type. These are the different styles, hood styles. Okay. Both island as well as wall mounted is present here. Okay. I think you have finished writing this, right? So, what do you mean by this wall canopy? I will just give a brief idea about it, and I will just dictate it and I will move it. Okay. Cooking appliances placed against the wall. Okay, that is wall canopy. Minimum airflow requirement. We need a minimum airflow requirement. Okay. Airflow means the amount of air or the fumes that has to be passed through that wall canopy hood. Okay, so minimum airflow requirement should be there. 3-inch built-in gap between the hood and wall. So there should be at least a minimum of a 3-inch built-in gap between the wall and the kitchen hood. Okay, the 3 inches enough. Okay, 3 finished sides. Okay, 3 finished sides. One side is been attached on the wall. Okay, so you have 3 finished sides, 2 width and 1 length. One length will be on the wall. Okay, minimum overhang requirement. So I will explain what is this overhang. Okay, overhang means just an extension. That's all. Okay, if this is a kitchen hood, I mean a kitchen stove, there will be a or for example, if 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 this is a my mobile phone is a stove. Okay, this will be the kitchen hood. This will be the kitchen hood, and you can see extension here. Here, all the 4 sides you can see extension because this is bigger. This is bigger than this stove. So all the 4 sides there is an extension. Okay, there is an extension. So that extension is known as overhang. Overhang. Okay, we can see the kitchen hood is always bigger than the stove, right? So on all the 4 sides, you can see how much extension should be given. Okay, that is meant by overhang. So the minimum overhang requirement 6 inch on sides and 6 inch to 12 inch in front. So on this both the sides, we can give a minimum of 6 inch overhang. When it comes to the front side, we can give 6 to 12 inch. Understood? So you can give 6 to 12 inch. So mainly you can directly you can get the length and the width of the kitchen hood directly if you are using this overhang method. So there are 2 different types of methods, okay, to find out the kitchen hood ventilation or to find out the kitchen hood dimension. We have mainly 2 types of method. One is ASHRAE method, and next one is MACNA method. Okay, the MACNA method was the method that we have discussed earlier. Okay, in the sense like if you have the length and width of the stove, okay, length plus 0.8 into height, that is as MACNA method. This overhang method is the ASHRAE method. If you know what is the overhang, how much overhang should be given on different sides, we can just calculate according to that. If you know the size of the stove, okay, we'll be easily able to know the size of the kitchen hood also. Okay, this method is this overhang method is ASHRAE method, and that formula method is MACNA method. So I will teach you. Okay, I will teach you. Don't worry. So the minimum overhang requirement for a wall canopy is 6 inch on both the sides. 6 inch on this side and 6 inch on this side, and 6 to 12 inch on the front. Okay. Now coming to single island hood, cooking appliance placed in the middle, not against the wall. Okay, it is been placed on the middle that we already studied. 4 finished sides. So in wall mounted there was only 3 sides, finished sides. Now when it comes to single island hood, there are 4 finished sides. Recommended overhang 12 inch on all 4 sides. So 12 inch on all 4 sides. Left side, right side, front and back, all overhang should be 12 inch. Okay, that is the recommended overhang. Okay, 12 inch means from the stove end. From the stove end, 12 inch to the side. From the stove end, 12 inch to the other side. From the stove end, 12 inch to front and 12 inch to back. And baffle filters in deep configuration. There are filters also inside the kitchen hood to capture these fumes, not fumes, grease and other impurities. Okay. We have filters also. Now double island hood. Double row appliances placed back to back. That we have already seen. Okay, we have already seen that picture. Okay, 2 wall canopy hoods placed back to back. Recommended overhang 6 to 12 inch on all 4 sides. Okay, 6 to 12 inch on all 4 sides because it's an island type. Now coming to these basic styles of type 2 hoods. So we were dealing with type 1 and now type 2 hoods. Type 2 hoods, we are not dealing with any grease, excluding grease only. These mainly this type 2 hoods will be using in dishwashers and steam tables. So this type 1 all were dealing with this fumes and this grease. If there is some grease or fumes like that, we'll be dealing with type 1. Type 2 foods, there should not be any grease inside that. Okay. So the basic styles of type 2 foods are oven hoods and condensate hoods. These are the two basic styles of hoods which comes under type 2. So you cannot disturb oven hoods and condensate hoods. These two hoods are the different styles of type 2 hoods. Oven hoods and condensate hoods. Oven hoods and condensate hoods. Basic styles of type 2 hoods. Okay. Now, type 2 hood, oven hood. Removal of heat and odor. Canopy hood with no filters. Hood size determined with the oven door open. When the oven door is opened, okay, the hood size is determined with oven's door is open. Okay. So the size is being little more larger. Okay. So we have to consider that the oven door is open. From that open door only, we will be able to determine the size of the hood. Okay. Now, these all things are just you can understand it. Okay. Just don't want to study deep into it. Just you need to know what are the different types and why is being used. That's it. Okay. Condensate hood, removal of heat, odor, and moisture. Okay. So you can remove the heat, odor, smell, as well as the water content. We can remove by the help of condensate hood. Condensate baffle and gutter to condensate moist air and drain the water. So basically this hood deals with the moisture and water. So the condensed water will be taken through the gutter and it can be drained out. Okay. So mainly this will be dealing with not with grease, but mainly dealing with heat, smell, and moisture. Okay, used for dishwashers. So mainly this type of wood is being used for dishwashers. Now, exhaust flow rate. Exhaust flow rate means uh, the speed through which the air has to be exhausted out. Okay, there's a speed. Okay, there's a speed. That speed will be calling it in FPM, feet per minute. Okay, the velocity. Okay, the velocity. The exhaust flow rate means the velocity of the air. Okay, the velocity of the exhaust air. So, when we are dealing with kitchen hood, our duty is not only to design the kitchen hood or the size of the kitchen hood, but we need to know the CFM or the amount of air. We have to calculate the amount of air. When we calculate the amount of air, then only we will be able to size the duct, because the sizing of the duct depends upon the amount of air or the quantity of the air, or we can call it as discharge. Okay, so kitchen hood designing doesn't not only includes the size or the dimension of the kitchen hood, but we have to know the amount of air which is being produced. Then we have to size the duct. Then we have to know the capacity of the fan also. If we are using some exhaust fans, in case if you are using some exhaust fans, we need to know the capacity of the fan also. Okay. So calculation of proper exhaust flow rate is very critical for effective operation of kitchen ventilation system. The upward velocity of the effluent here means the fumes. Okay. The upward velocity of the effluent thermal currents is mainly a function of temperature of the cooking surface and varies from 16 FPM over steam equipment to 160 FPM over charcoal boilers. So there are different equipments. Okay, there are different equipments. According to that, different equipments and different application and appliances, the velocity or the upward velocity of the fumes may change. Okay, some days it will be 16 fpm. It may even go to 160 feet per minute. So that much speed also can happen. Okay, appliances categories in 4 groups by cooking duty. So now we are going to see a tabular column. Okay, uh, uh, and we can see the appliances categorized in 4 groups depending upon its cooking duty. You can see that. Okay, let's see. See, these are the appliances. Okay, categorized according to the duty. So you can see mainly there are 4 types of duty: light duty, medium duty, heavy duty, extra heavy. Okay, then this light duty comes where the temperature is 200 degrees Celsius. Okay, here also 200 degrees Celsius. When it comes to heavy, it can be come up to 315 degrees Celsius, and extra heavy it comes to 370 degrees. Okay, these are the 4 main duty categories. Okay, what comes in light category? Light duty category: ovens, steamers, cheese melters. All these comes under light duty category. Okay, so the velocity will be 50 fpm. In this case, we can have 50 fpm. Okay. When it comes to medium duty category, what are the appliances which comes under medium duty? Hot top element, ranges, griddles, fryers, pasta cookers, conveyor ovens, pizza rotisseries. All these equipments or appliances comes under medium duty. Okay. So we are not only dealing with the stove, but we are dealing with ovens, steamers, okay, broilers, open burners, okay. So there are different materials, right? There are different equipments, right? So according to different equipments, we can categorize into any of these 4 different categories. Okay. So there are light, medium, heavy, and extra heavy appliances are there. So according to that, we have to design it. Okay. Now when it comes to medium, you can see the velocity will be up to 85 feet per minute. Okay, the range is 85 feet per minute velocity. What are the extra heavy appliances? Extra heavy appliances are the appliances which produce the fumes or gases which even to 350 degrees. Okay, so what are those appliances which comes under heavy duty? They are open burner, gas ranges, okay, broilers, work ranges. All these comes under heavy duty. So the velocity will be 150 fpm. Now extra heavy are there. Extra heavy appliances are there. Even it can go to 370. So appliances using solid fuels like wood, charcoal, briquettes, all this comes in extra heavy duty appliances. So even if it can go to even to 185, okay, not 160, it can go even to 185 fpm. So these are the different duty categories according to the appliances. Okay, so mainly there are 4: light is there, medium is there, heavy is there, extra heavy is there. All these equipments comes in light duty, and their velocity is 50 fpm, and the temperature range is 200. Now medium also, these are the different appliances or equipments. It can go to the velocity of the fumes will be 85 feet per minute, and its temperature range is 200. When it comes to heavy, these are the different appliances. The velocity is given here, the temperature is given here. Extra heavy, the temperature is given here, velocity is given here, the appliances also given here. Okay. Now, coming to the minimum exhaust flow, the amount of air that has to be exhausted out. So we can see according to different categories. Okay, minimum exhaust flow rates by equipment category: CFM, which means cubic feet per minute. The amount of air is being calculated, or the unit of air which has to be discharged is in CFM. Okay, cubic feet per minute. Now we can see equipment duty: light, medium, heavy, and extra heavy. So if it's a wall-mounted canopy, if you are using a light, cooking, the CFM will be 660. If you are using a medium, it will be 990. If you are using heavy, it will be 1350. If you are using extra heavy, we can come to even to 1800 CFM. Okay, when we do some questions, you will be getting a proper idea about what I am saying right now. Okay, so these are the different equipments classes like wall mounted, single island, double island, eyebrow, back shelf, passover. These are the different types. These are the different categories, and these are the different air flow. Okay, according to this different equipment duty. If it is heavy and extra heavy, the CFM or the amount of heat is more. Okay. There's a note for the combination of appliances in a row under a single hood. If there are different two types of mediums or two type of appliances in a single, uh, which comes under a single hood, the flow rate is based on the heaviest duty appliances. So you have to take the maximum CFM. Okay, you have to take this maximum CFM. For example, if there is light and medium equipment which comes under a kitchen hood, you have to take the medium one or the larger CFM. Okay. Now, when it comes to SMACNA method, okay, the CFM is being calculated by using this formula only. It's a heavy cooking equipment. Okay, just multiply 200 with the perimeter. Perimeter we have already seen, right? All the sides of the kitchen hood. Okay, is the perimeter. Okay, when you get the perimeter, you just multiply with this 200, you will be getting its CFM. So if it's a medium cooking, you just multiply with 150. If it's a light cooking, you just multiply with 100. Multiply perimeter with the 100, you will be getting the CFM. If we get the CFM, we can easily size the duct by the help of a software known as duct sizer software. Okay. So the exhaust or makeup air, FPM, duct velocity. So we need to know the velocity of the air also. So it will be ranging from 1500 to 2200 FPM. That is the velocity of the air which will be passing through the duct. So when you are sizing the duct, we need to know two values in order to size the duct, or in order to get the dimension of the duct, we need two values. One value is the CFM. The other value is this FPM. When you got these two, we could find the size of the duct. Okay. So you have to know the CFM. CFM is a must to size the duct. There is an option in the duct sizer software whether you can give this velocity or you can give the frictional loss. If you know the friction loss, you can give that friction loss, or you have to give this velocity. Okay. So the duct should be terminated 40 inch above the roof. So the exhaust fan should be 40 inch above the roof. You have to terminate it. Okay. So the fumes has to be exhausted to a, it should not interfere with other any areas. That's why the duct should be terminated 40 inch above the roof. If it is a roof, just don't exhaust the fumes directly, but just give a lift even up to 40 inch, and then you exhaust it. Okay. Clean out should be provided at the base of the riser and every 20 feet. So some clean out should be given, some opening should be given. So in future, if there is some maintenance or service, some clean out should be given because fumes are there, greases is there. Okay. So for that purpose, we have to give some clean outs also. Now, duct sheet metal gauge. This gauge means the thickness of the duct material. Okay. So mainly we'll be using galvanized iron. Okay. There are different materials for this duct. Okay. So the gauge means, okay, gauge means the thickness. The thickness of the duct is the gauge. So you can give 16 gauge. Okay. If it's a galvanized steel, you can give 18 gauge if it's a stainless steel. Okay. So if you are going out for purchasing a duct material, they will be asking you what gauge you need, which means that what is the thickness that you want, what is the thickness of the metal sheet. Okay, the duct is made up of metal sheet only. Tomorrow we can study about different ducts and its shapes and all those things. So this gauge represents the thickness. The unit of thickness is gauge. Okay. So if it is a galvanized steel, if you are using a galvanized steel metal sheet for duct, we can have 16 gauge thickness. If you are using stainless steel of standard 304, we can use 18 gauge. Okay. Wood construction 18 gauge is minimum. Okay. So 16 to 18 gauge. When this gauge increases, which means the thickness is been reduced. Okay. Gauge increase, thickness means reduced only. Okay. If it is 20 gauge, the thickness is very low. If it is 16, it is the thickness is bit more thicker. Okay, that's what it meant. So minimum you should have a 16 gauge. Minimum thickness should be there. Okay. Black steel duct is used for all kitchen ducts. Okay, kitchen duct. Black steel is mainly used. Stainless steel duct is used for laundry exhaust because mainly this moisture and fumes, all those things are present. That's why. Now stainless steel. These are different categories of stainless steel. Cheap and catches rust easily. This stainless steel. Okay. 304. This type is used for wood. 316 and 317L. Special and pure stainless steel for operation theater in hospitals, which have low carbon. So these are different stainless steel and different categories. And according to this, you can see 430 is cheap and catches rust also. That's one of the problem. 304 means this type is used for wood. So you can use stainless steel of 304 or kitchen hood. So this material you can use for kitchen hood, for kitchen hood duct. Okay. Yeah. So these are just more, a topic of kitchen hood. We have studied kitchen hood, basic styles of kitchen hood, different types of kitchen hood. Okay, different styles of kitchen hood. Okay, why we need to use the kitchen hood? All these things we have seen. Okay, we have seen this right now. Now we are going to design a kitchen hood. Okay, I think first we can deal with Excel sheet. Okay, we can deal with Excel sheet, and I will show you how to design by both the methods, MACNA as well as ASHRAE method. I will show you. Okay, and if we get time, we could design the kitchen hood manually also. Let me see. If I get time, we can just uh, calculate the kitchen hood manually also. Okay. Now for the time being, we can design a kitchen hood through an Excel sheet. Okay. So listen carefully and just see. And if you have any doubt, I will give you time. Okay. So this is very important. Okay. Can you see this? Just give a thumbs up if you can see the Excel sheet. Just give a thumbs up if you can. Yeah. So I believe you can see the kitchen ventilation. So I'm going to delete all these things. Okay. Okay. This is your Excel sheet through which you can find the size of or the length and width of the kitchen hood here. And you can find out the how much CFM or how much air has to be exhausted out. These are the both things that you will be able to know it. And you can know that for a light cooking, 100 into perimeter is the CFM. For a medium cooking, you can give 150 into perimeter. For a heavy cooking, you can give 200 into perimeter. So basically for our residents or like that, you can give a medium cooking. If it is some restaurants or something high, you can give heavy cooking. Or if it is something very low cooking, you can just give light cooking also. Okay, according to our application and our category, you can choose it. Okay, now I need to decide whether I want wall mounted or, okay, this is a basic thing. Okay, wall mounted or island type. Okay, wall mounted or island type. So here I am going to take here I am just considering or assuming I am designing a island type. I am designing a island type kitchen hood. So this is this SMACNA method. Okay, first I am going to deal with the SMACNA method. So first I need to know the length of the hood. I need to know the length of the hood. So length of the hood, the formula is length of the stove plus 0.8 into height. Plus 0.8 into height. Okay, so I have a stove here. Okay, the length is 600 and the width is 400. The length is 600 and the width is 400 mm. This is the stove length and width. So you will be able to know the length and width of the stove, right? Automatically you will be able to know it. If you have a stove, you can just measure it, right? Then you will be getting its length and width. So what is our aim? First aim is we have to know the size of the kitchen hood by the help of this software or this Excel sheet by SMACNA method. First we are going to see what is the size of the kitchen hood by SMACNA method. Okay, so here it is 600 and 400. Okay, so the length of the stove, what is the length of the stove? 600, right? So I am going to give 600. Let me give it in mm. Okay, now plus 0.8 into height. I have already said that the height range we can give 0.8 to 1.2 meter. 0.8 to 1.2 meter. Okay, so in between I am going to give 1 meter height. 1 meter height between the kitchen hood and stove. So between the kitchen hood and stove, I am giving 1 meter height. Okay, so if you want to give 800 mm, you can give 800 mm, or if you want to give 1000 mm, you can give 1000 mm according to your wish, or according to the height difference what you are going to give, you can give according to that. So here I am going to give a height of 1 meter, so 1000 mm. Okay, so automatically I got the length of the hood as 1400 mm. When convert to feet, I got 4.6 feet length. So the length of the hood is 1400 mm. The length of the stove is 600. The length of the hood is 1400 mm. When converts to feet, it is 4.6. Now, the length of the hood is found out, 1400 mm or 4.6 feet. Now, next I need to know the width of the hood. So what is the width of the stove? The width of the stove is 400 mm. Correct. So I'm going here. Width of the stove into 0.8 into height. Width of the stove is 400 mm into 0.8 into height. Height how much? The same height. We can give 1000 or 1 meter. So the width of the stove, sorry, the width of the hood is 1200 mm. When convert to feet, it is 3.9. Understood? So the first step is over. We have found out the length of the hood as well as we found out the width of the hood. So if you know the length and width of the stove, you could easily find out the length and width of the hood. So you got in mm as well as you got in feet. So this is the formula to find out the length of the hood. Just know this formula: length of the stove plus 0.8 into height. we need to know the width of the hood, width of the stove into 0.8 into h or height. I think this is clear. Length of the stove is 600, width of the stove is 400. Just multiply with height, you will be automatically getting the length of the hood, width of the hood, both in mm as well as in feet. I think this is clear to you, right? Now, so the first step is over. I got a stove and I have found out the length and width of the hood. Okay, I have found the dimension. Next is I have to find out the duct size. I have to find out the duct size because this air has to be exhausted outside, right? This air has to go through the duct. So how much air, according to the quantity of the air, I have to size the duct. So my second step is I am going to size the duct. So in order to size the duct, what I need the CFM, the amount of discharge or amount of air in CFM. I need to know cubic feet per minute. That is the unit of the air or the amount of air. Okay. So in order to know the CFM, what is the formula? This is the formula: 100 into perimeter, or 150 into perimeter, or 200 into perimeter, according to this different range. If you are using a medium cooking, you just multiply 150 into perimeter. So in order to multiply 150 into perimeter, you need to know the perimeter, right? Correct. So when you multiply the perimeter into 150, you will be getting the exhaust air CFM. So this is the second step. We are going to find the CFM. So if you know the CFM only, we will be able to size the duct. Okay. So next we are going to see the CFM. So to know the CFM, we need to know the perimeter. So to know the perimeter, you know what is perimeter, right? Perimeter means the addition of all the sides. Correct. If you are using, so we have already seen that, right? So here you can see, this is the perimeter formula. Perimeter, if it's a wall mounted, just give this formula, length plus 2W. If it's an island type, you give this formula, 2L plus 2W. Okay. So here I have assumed as an island type hood. So what is the formula that you will be using here? 2L plus 2W, right? Okay, this is the formula, 2W and 2 length. Okay. Now you can see. So the perimeter. So I am going to give value here. We have to give the value in feet. Okay. So one side is 4.6. This 4.6. Okay, this 4.6. What about the next side? 3.9. What about, there are 4 sides, correct? There are 4 sides in a wall, in a island type. So one side is 4.6, then other side is 3.9. The other side is again 4.6, correct? Then last side is again 3.9. So I got perimeter as 17 feet. Addition of all the 4 sides. 2L plus 2W, which means 2L plus 2W. L is 4.6, W is 3.9. So I got the perimeter. The second step, I got the perimeter. So next I need to decide whether I am choosing it for light cooking or medium cooking or heavy cooking. I need to choose according to the application that I get. So here I am assuming a medium cooking range. Okay, just and I'm assuming. So if you are choosing a medium cooking range, what you have to choose here? 100 into P or 150 into P or 200 into P? Yeah, we have to choose 150 into P because we are choosing medium cooking. Okay, so I got P. This is the P, perimeter. So I need to just multiply with 150. So I'll be getting exhaust air CFM. So let's see here. This is been again taken here, exhaust air CFM. So 150 into P. So I am giving here 150. I am choosing medium cooking, 150 into P. What is P? P is 70. So exhaust air is 750, sorry, 17 into 150, that is 2550 CFM. So the air that has to be discharged is 2550 CFM. Understood? So that is the exhaust air. So if we get the exhaust air, can we find the supply air or the makeup air? Yes, we can find out easily the makeup air. Why? Here we know that the makeup air is 75 to or 70 to 85%, right? So I am choosing 80%. So just multiply with 80%. You will be getting the fresh air. Just multiply 80% of the exhaust air. You will be getting the fresh air. So see here, 2250, sorry, 2550 into 0.8 or 80%. You got 2040, which means 2040 is the supply air and 2550 is the exhaust air. I think it is very clear, right? So I will explain once more. The length and the width of the stove is given. So to find the length of the hood, 600 or the length of the stove plus 0.8 into h. Length of the stove is 600, 0.8 into height. Height is 1000. So you got the length of the hood in mm as well as in feet. Now the same way we have found out the width of the hood. Okay, width of the stove is 400 into 0.8 into height. Height is 1000. So you got the width of the hood. Okay. Now we have to find the CFM. To find out the CFM, we have to multiply this value with the perimeter. So we need to know the perimeter. We know that perimeter is the sum of all the sides. So this is the different side. So we have added all those things, and you got 17 feet as the perimeter. So that perimeter into, I have chosen medium cooking. So just multiply 150 into this perimeter, 17, you will be getting 2550 as the CFM. When you get 2250 as a CFM, next is you need to know the supply or makeup air. So we know that 80% of the exhaust air is the supply air. So just multiply with 0.8, you will be getting the supply air. Okay, I think this is clear. Now we have another one method also to find out the size of the hood. That is ASHRAE method. Okay, that is the ASHRAE method. So here I have already written this, so I will just explain. That's all. That is enough. So then the length of the hood, sorry, the length of the stove is 600 and the width of the stove is 400. That we have already seen here, right? Length is 600, width is 400. So I have given length is 600, width 400. The hood size. So if I'm choosing a wall mounted type, what will be the overhang? Let's see here, data sheet. We need this sheet for ASHRAE. Okay, for SMACNA we have just formula, that's enough. If you are using ASHRAE type method, we need this both tabular columns. So overhood or hood overhang, minimum hood overhang requirement. So if it's a wall mounted, you will be having only end and front, one side. Both two side and front side only you will be having, because the wall, one side will be fixed on the wall. So if it is an island type, you will be having all the four sides. End will be there, front will be there, and rear also will be there. Rear part also will be there, front part also will be there, end part also will be there. Okay. So here I have already chosen single island. So all the overhang is 150 mm. Okay, 150 mm to both the end. 150 to one end and another 150 to another end. Front 150 and back 150. Okay. So if the length of the stove is 600, what will be the length of the hood? It is 900. How you got 900? because the overhang is 150. So to one overhang it is 150. The other side overhang is 150. So 150 plus 150, 300. Correct? So you can see here. So this is the length. So to this side it is 150 and to this side it is 150. So 150 plus, sorry. Yeah. So let's see like this. This is 600. So this side is 150 and this side is 150. So 600 plus 150 plus 150. How much? Total 900. 600 plus 150 plus 150 is equal to 900. So you can just directly write 900. Okay. So what will be the width of the hood? Width of the hood. What will be the width of the hood? See, width is 400. So here 150 front side and here 150 back side. So 400 plus 150 plus 150. How much? 400 plus 300. How much? 700. Correct. So hood size is 700. Understood? Now you have to give the perimeter. What will be the perimeter of the hood? 900 plus 900 plus 700 plus 700, because we have taken island type. So you got 3200 mm is the perimeter, and when you are converting it into feet you will be getting 10.52 feet. Okay, so you got the perimeter as well as you got the length of and width of the stove. Next, what we need to know? Next, we need to know the exhaust flow rate. CFM, we need to know the exhaust flow rate. In this case or in this method, the exhaust flow rate is found out by this formula: perimeter into CFM per linear foot of hood length. Perimeter into CFM per linear foot of hood length. In the other method, how we have found? Just multiply with this perimeter. Just multiply this value with perimeter. Here, how we need to find out? Just multiply the perimeter with CFM per linear foot of hood length. CFM per linear foot of hood length. So how to know the CFM per linear foot of hood length? That you will be getting from the data sheet. See, maximum net exhaust flow rate, CFM per linear foot of hood length. So here we have to choose the hood type. So I have already chosen the single island. I have already chosen single island. Next, I have to decide whether I have to take light duty equipment or medium duty equipment or heavy duty equipment or extra heavy duty equipment according to my application, which has been given by the client. So here I am taking a medium duty equipment. So for an island type, what will be the CFM per linear foot of hood length for a medium duty equipment? For an island type, what will be the CFM per linear foot of hood length for a medium duty equipment? This 350, right? Medium duty equipment, island type. It is 350 CFM per linear foot of hood length. So you have to give 350 here. Just multiply this 10.52 with this 350. You will be getting 3684 CFM as the exhaust flow. So just multiply with 0.8, you will be getting the fresh air. So this 3684 will be automatically received here, and this fresh air will be the 80% of the exhaust flow rate. So you got this hood size, you got the perimeter. When you get the perimeter, you go to this data sheet and choose the CFM according to your need, and just give that value here. You will be getting the exhaust flow rate. When you get the exhaust flow rate, multiply with 0.8, you'll be getting the fresh air. So all these are already calculated. So just give this number. Just give this number. Everything else will be calculated. Just give this value. Just give this value and just give this value. You'll be getting all other values. So this is a very simple methods to find out the kitchen hood as well as the duct size. Everything you will be able to know it. So I don't have much time to explain the manual method. So tomorrow I will extend this. I will show how to do it by manual method. This is the manual method. The same way I will ask you to write this through a manual method. Okay. So I will be giving you this also. Okay. I'll be giving you this. Uh, I'll be giving you this Excel sheet so you can practice it. Okay. And tomorrow we'll be dealing with kitchen hood also, and another topic also will be dealing toilet ventilation. Will be dealing car parking ventilation. Will be dealing. Okay. Uh, and tomorrow, if possible, I will show you the CAD drawing also. Okay, CAD drawing, how to draw a kitchen hood. Okay, why I'm focusing on this is that because this is an important topic. So in future, uh, if you if someone asks you to design a kitchen hood, you should be able to design it. So I think this is an easy topic. I think you have understood this. So tomorrow will be just a little more. Will be extending this. Okay. Tomorrow we'll be dealing with. I will show you the CAD drawing, and not only that, we can do it manually also. Okay, as a step by step, we can do it. Okay. Uh, so, if you have any doubt regarding today's topic, you can just 1 second. It's already on. So, someone have any doubt? Is there any doubt regarding today's topic? Today's topic, if you have, you can ask. Is there any doubt, or are you satisfied with today's class? We have initially we have studied about uh, different classes of air, different types of air. Types of air in the sense different classes according to its purification. We have studied that. Then we have just given introduction to ventilation. What is ventilation? Okay. Uh, then we have seen kitchen hood ventilation. Okay, and I have said what is kitchen hood, what are the different types of kitchen hood, what are the styles, different style which comes under kitchen hood. Then uh, then what else we have studied? We have gone through its material, what will be its thickness. Okay, okay. And then we have studied about the designing of kitchen hood. Two methods. One is Magna method, and another one is ASHRAE method. Okay. Basically, we are dealing with Magna method only. If you are using ASHRAE also, it's not an issue. You can use anything. So we have seen both the methods. Okay. In Magna method, mostly we'll be using formulas. In ASHRAE method, we'll be using with the tabular columns, overhand, and according to different duties. Okay. What will be the CFM? We'll be finding it out. So, is there any doubt in today's topic, or is there any difficulty in finding out the kitchen hood size, CFM? Okay, that size we will be studying later. Okay, if you get the CFM, we can easily size the duct. Okay. And according to the CFM, you can choose the fan capacity. Okay, So if you get 3000 CFM as the exhaust, so you have to buy a capacity, or you have to buy a fan of 3000 CFM capacity. Not only that, one more criteria is important in it. So if the length of the duct is small, if the length of the duct is small, if you have to exhaust to a particular area, or a particular area which is little more, it has some distance. So if the length of the duct is more, we have to look for its static pressure also, or the friction loss also, because if you're having more length, okay, there is a possibility of friction loss. Some losses will happen if there is some fittings, or if the length of the duct is more. We have to know the static pressure or friction loss also, we have to calculate. Then only we'll be able to know the capacity. If it is directly, if it is exhausting, what is the CFM that we have calculated? That CFM might be enough. So if you are choosing a fan, 3000 CFM capacity fan, okay, that you can choose it. Or if you are using a duct which is having a longer length, okay, you have to calculate the friction loss also. Then you have to choose a fan of capacity 3000 CFM with this much inches of water column of friction loss. The friction loss unit is inches of water column, or inches of water gauge. That is a unit. So you have to uh, uh, know the friction loss also. Okay, when you are choosing the exhaust fan. Okay, any doubts? Any doubts so far? Any doubts regarding kitchen hood? If there is no doubt, you can just give a thumbs up. Or someone is typing. Okay, Jacob, I have given a thumbs up. What about rest of them? Those who have those who doesn't have any doubt, you can leave it. You can leave. I think yesterday's video is also shared, right? I think everyone have received yesterday's video also, right? So today's video also will be shared. Okay. So yeah. So don't miss any class, because when you're missing and comes tomorrow, it will be very difficult for you to catch up. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.